Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to be bringing you my review and my opinions of chapter 1153 of One Piece, The Birth of Loki. And as with the last one, I'm obviously very late. It released 2 weeks ago now, I think, 29th, yeah. But wanted to get this out before the next chapter because I've seen some spoilers for it already. There's a lot of interesting stuff that's going to be dropped, so I want to be ready for it. And yeah, so let's dive on in. So as always, we go in with the cover. The cover story with Ogre Child Yamato is still ongoing, and we've got a nice little happy one here where Yamato is meeting with Kiku, who is the daimyo of Ringo, and Boss Ocho. You know, the I don't remember what she did, but did she lead like the geishas? I don't know. But anyway, that's the cover. Looks charming. I love, it's a fun little story. Will it go anywhere? Maybe. So obviously, where we left off last time, we were just diving into the start of a flashback of Harold's past, and this is where we're going to lead off. Obviously, when this gets to the anime, this first part is with the boxes. It's clearly what the narrator's going to say. It's just going quickly over a bit of Harold's backstory as a child. He grew up with Jory and Brogy. He, due to his royal blood, his ancient giant blood, he had gained an inflated ego, a sense of self-worth. And had a very low opinion of non-giants, essentially. So he started off as a bit of a jerk. So we move on, and we get introduced to the Bunt Kingdom, where someone seems to be introducing a giant called Ida. I'm going to say Ida. It seems to be some sort of sideshow because he's presenting it like a carnival barker. I don't know about Ida because I already talk about Ida all the time in Boruto, so worlds are colliding, I guess. But as we see here, it does seem to be an imprisoned giant acting all ferocious, and people running in fear of her, which, as we see at the bottom, it enrages Harold because a giant is being used as a sideshow freak by humans. So we don't even get to see what Harold does to the Bunt Kingdom. We just see the aftermath of them sailing away and smoke rising from the Bunt Kingdom. It looks like they trashed the place, and we see that they've taken Ida with them, saved her, if you will. But is that the case? Because we see at the bottom, after Harold says that, he had to save her because he didn't like to see his homeland disrespected. She hits him. She strikes him. Classic One Piece comic relief, tough guy gets smacked by the female, what's the word for it? Female accomplice? Not accomplice. Anyway, crew member, whatever. Perhaps there's a reason for this. So Ida demands that Harold turn the ship around, and she needs to apologize to the people that were hurt in this attack. And Harold yells at her that why does she care about a kingdom of tiny humans? And we just see the aftermath of her striking him again. And it's revealed that humans actually saved her, and her being a sort of sideshow freak was a sort of job she was doing for them as thanks, essentially. And then she continues to yell at Harold for calling them tiny humans, and it actually pisses her off that because of Harold's attitude, everyone thinks Elbaf is just a land of brutes. But clearly Ida has given Harold a lot to think about, even though initially he seems to be pouting and rejecting it a little bit. But we also see an interesting close-up focus on Ida, and she's got a very unique appearance, doesn't she? In different I know One Piece gets a lot of critique for having similar-faced women, but she's got a very unique face, different lips, different nose, different eyes, everything really. And obviously this is Hadruden's mother. It doesn't look like he's got much of her features, but who knows? Because he does wear a helmet all the time, doesn't he? And as we see at the bottom here, they suggest to Harold that they should just leave, but Harold appears to be starting to get his opinion turned as he yells at everyone to start helping out. It appears here that the giants are also learning to appreciate what the humans can offer, talking about their method of construction being completely different to their own, that they love the spices that they have, and they want to bring them back to Elbaf. We also see them talking about how hardy the fabric they create is, and how skilled they are. So Ida is certainly turning the giants' opinions. Also got a cool shot at the bottom here of like humans climbing over Harold and the giants dancing alongside the humans. So it seems like they're all getting along. So moving on, we've got a human telling Harold and Ida his story of how he was born on... Now, I don't know if this island will be relevant or if they're just name-dropping something random, but... oh, God. Samwanai Island. Not an easy name. Samwanai Island in the South Blue. And they recognise it as that he must have crossed the, as they call the Serpent of Blood, which is apparently Elbaf name for the Red Line. I don't know if that's been mentioned before, but I can't remember. So it's interesting to know Elbaf giants give the Red Line a interesting name. But anyway, obviously Harold's getting interested in what these humans have to say. And he even invites a human with nowhere to go to come back to Elbaf with him. It's a cool sort of shot of him. He's caught a shark, and his giant crew have noticed the change in Harold as well. But we skip forward a bit, so now we're only 105 years in the past, and this appears where Harold has changed his ways from a warrior to one that seeks out peace, technology, education, that sort of thing, because he says he wishes to atone for all his countless crimes. So we carry on, and Harold is talking about how he's out and about all the time because he wants to make more relations with humans and share culture and all that sort of thing, which will make Elbaf richer as a whole. Even it gets kind of heckled that Dory and Brogy are out there still raising heck. But Harold says that, you know, they're still cordial with humans, and if they take it too far, they can be reined in. And we know they're cordial with humans. We saw how they interacted when they first met the Straw Hats. They were very friendly. But we also see Jarul at the bottom here. I can't remember if he's shown up yet or not, but in the flashback. But they talk about how, with the changes Harold's gone through, Elbaf is blessed with good luck. But we see here that Harold is continuing with his diplomacy, his sharing of culture. He wants to keep sending diplomats back and forth. I didn't get this whole bit here where it says, I see, so, when he says, talking about sending diplomats between nations, he says, I see, so we're each taking hostages then. He's like, don't say it like that. I'm like, what? What does that mean? It's diplomats. But whatever. Maybe I'm missing a sort of meaning with that. But he's continuing the diplomatic mission. And then we jump forward again. So we went from what was 105 years to 81 years. So we've jumped forward another 26 years. And a baby has been born between Harold and Ida. And we already know this is Herjuden. So at this point, Harold thinks that now they've had a child, they can get married. But before he can even say that, he gets cut off. And we already kind of heard about this in previous chapters about the whole feud between giant clans and whatnot, but they forbid him from marrying Ida because the royal line must remain pure of blood. So Ida isn't pure of blood or whatever nonsense that is, and it looks like Harold just kind of accepts it. But look, it's baby Hadruden. And like I said, look, it doesn't look like he's got any of her features. So Harold's genes are strong, I guess. He might have her eyes, though. I seem to recall... I'm thinking from memory if he has the same eyes. He might do. But there you go. Hadruden is born. So this page has a really interesting layout, so I'm going to try and cut it up as best I can. But we get introduced to Estrid, who is described by this... I guess Council of Elders or whatever as Harold's true betrothed, and we get like a full body shot, and she's obviously definitely very glamorous, beautiful. I've seen people kind of getting excited about her, and interestingly, we see here, and this is the second time they've shown up like this. They're all like a shadowy council. It's, you know, people in the background influencing the king. So standard stuff. She talks about studying geomancy, how they describe her as being one worthy of being queen. And she declares her love for Harold. I don't know how well she means it. She obviously doing it just for the connections and royalty and whatever. And Harold definitely does not seem to be on board. We all saw that he clearly was in love with Ida. And also at the bottom, we also see she's a bit insane. She talks about spirit escaping to the east, so they should shut the windows at once, and that mirror is the 5-star kill in the 5-star kill position, so we should destroy it at once. So yeah, she's insane. So we see here that Estrid produces Asler, the horse of good fortune, to gift to Harold, and we've just got like giant entourage amazed that it's an 8-legged horse. Now this is probably based off the Norse horse Sleipnir, who was the steed of Odin, 8-legged horse. Surely has to be. But you know, I don't know how relevant the 8-legged horse will be. And we also see at the bottom that Estrid appears to be either into the sort of finer things, or she's a bit of a gold digger, because she talks about bringing all the jewels and gold from the treasury into their chambers. So as she puts it, that all the fortunes of the wind and the earth are sent in His Majesty's direction. I didn't mention before. Did I mention before? She said she's into geomancy, and she keeps coming up with this nonsense. And she also talks about using the fine silver for all their meals. So I get a bit of she's a bit full of herself, maybe. So we jump forward a bit more. We're now only 70 years ago, and got the narrator again talking about how the rigours of the sea made it difficult to maintain trade between islands, but Elbaf is revealed as excellent navigators, so they were called the envy of other nations. It's interesting them being master navigators as well. I wonder if that will be useful for Nami or Jinbei, in regards to how they navigate their ship, the Going Sunny. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens in Elbaf. Well, we won't see in the anime. The anime's way behind at this point, right? But Harold is telling them a story of how, I guess he went to Fishman Island, because he talks about meeting mermaids and fishmen, and this is apparently around the time Neptune was born, because he talks about the birth of Neptune and how they had a massive celebration for it. So he's 70 years old. Okay. And we jump forward a bit further, and now we're 63 years ago, and the birth of Loki has just happened. And we discover why Loki might have his eyes bandaged, because baby Loki has like demonic or serpent-like eyes, and he has the ancient giant blood horns, so he looks kind of monstrous. And well, it's I can't name the manga or the anime who have creepy babies, because, as I say, the creepy babies haven't shown up in the anime version, and I don't really want to spoil it when I'm talking about One Piece, but this is like the 3rd creepy baby I've seen. It's insane. It's almost gonna have like the four creepy baby horsemen of the apocalypse or something. But she continues on. She's terrified of baby Loki's appearance and completely rejects him, even at the bottom, giving him horrible words, calling him a monster, and her appearance looks very evil at this point. Okay, so Estrid's going to go down as like one of the worst people in One Piece, certainly the worst mother in One Piece, because she completely rejects Loki. He reaches out for her, but gets nothing, and then we just see she throws him off a cliff into the underworld. It's insane. And even at the bottom, the guard, the head guard or whatever, is horrified at her actions. She is an evil bitch. But baby Loki is incredibly resilient, and we see he crawls his way up from the underworld, which is insane for a baby. Even a giant baby, it's just insane. It's insane. Loki is a trooper. And thankfully at the bottom, maybe a bit of karma, Estrid falls ill. Hooray. So it seems Estrid's like losing her mind or something, or she just really doesn't want to be around Loki, because she talks about how there was a prophecy of how Loki would kill Harold one day. Obviously, we've seen in the present that he has the blame for killing Harold, so in a way that prophecy has come true, even though we're kind of finding out that that was not the case. And it appears that Harold's having trouble with the world government. The world government is blocking Elbaf from doing something. Not sure what it is. But we also see contrast of, how Estrid completely rejects Loki. We see a quick little panel of how Ida would love to see baby Loki, and even though Hadrudin likes to reject him because he's not his full-blooded brother, it's like she just coddles him and squeezes his cheeks. So a loving mother versus an absolute bitch. But we finish the chapter with an ominous narration of all the misfortunes that would fall upon Elbaf would be known as Loki's curse. And we kind of know that Loki's been blamed for a lot of stuff that goes wrong with Elbaf, and he obviously in the present day was enchained in the underworld. But it appears that he is not... He's kind of a victim in all this. He's getting the blame for stuff I guess he hasn't done, from what we're kind of learning and what's getting revealed. So I guess we're going to continue on the backstory and get more of like Loki's past going into the next chapter, which releases tomorrow. So I'm glad I got all this done. Uploading shortly. And as forever, I get normally sub 100 views, but I love that there's people who tune in. I love that. Thank you all for watching. Me prattling on about One Piece. Yeah. As for theories and whatever, I think I better just keep it for tomorrow's chapter, because it's so close and there's a lot of heavy stuff coming. Until then, I'll see y'all later. Bye.